Tonight on UI7 News, Illinois will be affected by possible tariffs imposed by China.
And a professor at the university created an app to anonymously report human trafficking.
Later, we will give you tips on how to stay healthy when preparing for the Illinois Marathon.
UI7 News starts right now.
From the Richmond Journalism Teaching Studio at the University of Illinois campus, UI7 News, your U of I news source.
Hello and welcome to UI7 News. I'm Anaja Smith.
And I'm Ryan Wilson. Today's newscast will have all the news you need from the Champaign-Urbana area. So stick with us for the next 30 minutes for everything you need to know.
The United States and China are not seeing eye to eye in trade negotiations. UI7's Patrick Lee looks into how possible Chinese trade tariffs could impact the Illinois economy.
The Trump administration imposed a tariff of $50 billion on Chinese goods Wednesday morning. China replied with a very similar tariff on American goods hours later. In Illinois, this tariff could negatively impact a billion-dollar industry, soybeans. According to Statista.com, Illinois is the top soybean-producing state in the nation, producing nearly 600 million bushels in 2017 alone. Although the Chinese have not acted on this tariff, the price of soybeans dropped significantly Wednesday morning in response to the news.
The market price of soybeans dropped 40 cents this morning. I haven't seen last trade, but it's in the 30 to 40 cent range. If you take that times a 4 billion bushel soybean crop, American farmers, American soybean producers are down $1.6 to $1.7 billion.
If the tariffs are passed, China could start exploring other options for soybean-producing countries like Brazil or Uruguay.
So the concern is beyond the short-term price effect now. My big concern is, does this just create more competition for us later because other people will start producing more soybeans than we do?
But Gary Schnitke notes that switching soybean suppliers in favor of the tariff would not be beneficial for China either.
Soybeans is a big deal to both parties, and it would have negative impacts on China as well, because they will in the end pay more for soybeans because of the tariff.
Todd Hubbs believes the passing of this tariff is possible, but sees China's reaction as a firm response to the Trump administration's original tariff.
I think what we're seeing is China sending a signal to the administration. The question is, did the administration get it? Is it just a bargaining position and they're going to try to come around on it? Or are they set on doing it? Because what China announced was, if we do these tariffs, they're retaliating.
For now, all we can do is speculate and hope the two global giants can come to a mutually beneficial agreement in the near future. In Urbana, I'm Patrick Lee, UI7 News.
As spring begins in Champaign-Urbana, seasonal homeless shelters will close for another 9 months until winter. Temporary shelters like New Covenant Fellowship Church and the Champaign First Methodist Church provided the homeless with a warm place away from the cold during the long winter weather months. Shelters like Church Connection and See You at Home will continue to provide assistance to the homeless. Snow on Monday could possibly leave many without a roof over their heads as the cold weather returns.
3 men have been accused of selling deadly synthetic marijuana at a mini-mart in North Lawndale near Chicago. The men have been charged with multiple federal drug offenses. Synthetic marijuana causes uncontrollable bleeding and has resulted in several deaths. So far, there has even been 56 cases in the state of Illinois. Illinois Department of Public Health continues to investigate to try to identify any common products that can contain the synthetic ingredients. They are often sold in convenience stores, gas stations, and novelty shops.
But the bottom line is we know they're out there and available, and right now we're seeing unexpected life-threatening effects from people using them, people coming in with unexplained bleeding.
Anyone who has a reaction to synthetic marijuana should call 911 or have someone take them to the emergency room.
Antibiotic-resistant infections are affecting animals nationally. Veterinary dermatologist Dr. Jason Piper sees these antibiotic-resistant bacterial infections daily. As reported, infections in animals have risen to 40% in North America, 20% in Europe, 48% in China, and 12% in Australia. Dr. Piper, a professor at the U of I, says a big problem is people giving antibiotics to animals when it's not necessary. The other issue is that veterinarians are giving their patients more powerful antibiotics than are appropriate, which causes additional problems. He says a possible solution for pet owners is to question veterinarians whenever they prescribe antibiotics without first performing a bacterial infection.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg will testify on April 11th in front of the House Energy and Commerce Committee to answer questions about the recent breach of privacy. Zuckerberg says Facebook gave a professor access to their data for academic purposes, which was later shared with third parties, including the British political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica. This action violates Facebook's policies and has since affected a possible 87 million users by exposing their information.
And before we go to break, we have Sarah Olin here with a quick weather update. And I don't think I'm going to like what you have to say.
I don't think you're going to like what I have to say either. We have some snow coming up, unfortunately, this weekend, and not at all warmer weather. It's looking like the temperature will be at about 35 degrees with winds 15 miles per hour. Honestly, when I saw the snow on Sunday, I thought it was an April Fool's prank, and it wasn't. It is just an ongoing, continual cold and snow. But I will give you more details than that later in the show.
Coming up after the break, a local professor made an app to help combat human trafficking.
And later in the newscast, if you're thinking about running in the Illinois Marathon, we have some tips that might help you do just that.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
So we were walking to school. I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really want
smart.
cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Last month, the Senate passed FOSTA, otherwise known as the Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act. This will make websites liable for content posted by third parties that unlawfully promote or facilitate prostitution. Some believe the bill violates the First Amendment because of its broad guidelines. A coalition of internet companies, including Reddit, Twitter, GitHub, the Wikimedia Foundation, and Yelp, have also signed a letter protesting the legislation because they agree that it may violate the First Amendment.
Human trafficking is a crime that's often underreported and an issue that's happening around the world. UI7 News' Emma Lee talks to a professor who wants to make a change with an app that she created.
Human trafficking is an issue that affected people across the world, including Illinois State. According to the 2017 National Human Trafficking Hotline statistics, Illinois ranks 11th in the number of human trafficking cases, with sex trafficking being the most common. Sarah Dilfeld is the Director of Human Trafficking Services in the Center for Prevention of Abuse. She says it is an issue that people should pay more attention to.
What we've seen in Illinois is that within the past few years, we're receiving about 200 identified cases each year. So our numbers are remaining pretty stable. In our agency, within that first year, we saw over a dozen cases. And so I think that it's just really a issue of raising awareness.
Sometimes people are afraid that reporting suspected human trafficking cases will put themselves in danger. So a U of I professor comes up with an operational compass app to allow people to do it anonymously. Before moving to Illinois, Professor Lisa Mercer made the app and cooperated with service providers and police department in Dallas. And now she's bringing the pilot program to Illinois.
Illinois has its own unique issues that it's dealing with in human trafficking that are going to be different in each state. And so it would be really important to me, if we were to implement this in Illinois, to make sure that I understood those special issues, that we made any necessary changes to accommodate those within the app, and that there was an agreement on who would be receiving those instances and how they would be resolved.
UIPD Lieutenant John Fiesta and Mercer had a discussion over the app.
It's a good talking point for people to talk about human trafficking because I would imagine that it exists in almost every community in some way in the United States. And to be able to recognize the signs of human trafficking and being able to respond to it correctly would be a good thing.
Mercer further says her next step is to reach out to more UIPD officers as well as local police department for potential cooperation. In Champaign-Urbana, I'm Emma Lee, UI7 News.
We will have weather and sports after the break.
Tune in for more.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Wait. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where the cats go on vacation? New York.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys, preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
The weather this time of year can be pretty volatile, as we saw earlier this week. Let's take a look at some of the damage from the storm that hit Carterville, Illinois, near Carbondale. 4 tornadoes were confirmed by the National Weather Service, one with speeds of up to 105 miles per hour. It damaged a dozen homes and hundreds of trees. Power lines were also snapped. Prepare yourselves for another bout of snow.
Here is Sarah Owen with the details.
Thank you, Ryan and Anaja. Unfortunately, I am not bringing good news of the weather. However, if you like snow, I am bringing good news for that. Look, all right, so here in Champaign-Urbana, it is 43. There are clouds in the sky and a little bit of snow kind of here and there. Up in Rantoula, it is 44. Down in Mattoon, it is 45. Pretty consistent throughout this Champaign area. 41 in Danville. And then out west in Springfield, it is 52. Might be a little bit warmer for a weekend getaway if you want warmer temperatures. All right, again, we have Midwest temperatures. There is us in lovely Champaign-Urbana. Up north in Chicago, it is 42 degrees. I think they also have snow up there. 46 in Indianapolis. Again, a little bit warmer than it is here. We have Louisville, 49. That's okay. 56 in St. Louis. Again, a little bit nicer if you're looking for some nicer weather. And out there in Kansas City, those lucky people have 63-degree temperatures. All right, national. Again, here we are in Champaign-Urbana with 43 degrees. It is always cold in Minneapolis, so it'll be 36. We have Cleveland, it is 38, and actually looking out east, it is 41 in Boston and New York City. They are looking for a big winter storm that is expected to come this weekend. We have Dallas is 67, Denver is 65, in beautiful and sunny Phoenix, it is 84. In Los Angeles, it is 64, which is pretty nice, you know, having a nice day in Los Angeles. And beautiful old Miami is 77, pretty much twice the temperature that it is here. All right, looking ahead tonight, if you are at all walking around, you definitely need a coat. It is 35 and cloudy with 15-mile-per-hour winds, which is a little not ideal for April 5th. Looking ahead tomorrow, you got to keep out your boots and your jackets. It is flurries and 42 degrees. Wear those boots, wear those hats, and your coats. Keep them out, even though it is April. All right, and then we have your 5-day forecast. Looking ahead, again, as I mentioned, it's going to be 42 with flurries on Friday. Saturday, partly cloudy. Sunday and Monday, again, flurries and snow. With the weather being so hit and miss right now, I decided to ask students about how they feel about different temperatures.
I feel like it would be kind of annoying to have to like even just do something like walk across the street. You have to like wear a bunch of clothes and stuff like that.
I am not excited. I do not appreciate this joke that Mother Nature has decided to play on us. I think that it's April and that the weather should act like it just to get its stuff together.
Yeah, having to still wear a jacket every day definitely makes it harder. I like to bike to class, and so that kind of messes with things. Buses are still busy. Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. That was very sad. Why do we have all this snow?
I know, it's too much.
Well, Bianca is here to give us some sports updates.
Yes, thank you, Anaja. Coming up next in sports, I'll let you know what you need to know about the first player in Illini history to receive 2 National Player of the Week awards. All this and more after the break.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Hey guys, today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Give kisses. Give kisses. Look. Give kisses. Give kisses. You heard how loud that was.
I know,
sleep
I
through that.
heard. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Bacon.
Families coming.
The Illinois Marathon is a little over 3 weeks away, and more than 10,000 participants will be aiming to accomplish a goal that they have been working towards for months. UI7's Cole Hinkey has more on the importance of not taking shortcuts on your training.
If you were planning on starting your training for the Illinois Marathon today, race co-director and co-owner of Body and Soul Sports, Mike Lindemann, would advise against it.
I'd tell you forget it. honestly, you know, to run the actual marathon 26.2, you're probably looking at a minimum of a 12-week program. Usually we'd like to see 16-week programs, particularly if you've never ran before.
University student and Champaign native Tierney Davis has run the marathon before, though. She finished it last year, even though she didn't finish her whole training regimen.
Last year, Tierney only finished 13 weeks of her 16-week program. This year, she's trying to finish all 16 with hopes of finishing the marathon in under 5 hours.
She said she was super nervous on the day of the race because she had never run longer than 20 miles before. But she said once she hit the 18-mile mark, she knew she could finish. Lindemann said it's not surprising that someone like Davis, who was a sprinter on her high school track team, was able to finish the race.
mean, people that are active, say you play basketball all the time, you do all this other stuff, and you're pretty active and in good shape, you might be able to get through a marathon, but then the next 2 weeks you'll probably have a hard time just walking.
Even though she is active, Davis definitely felt the pain after she crossed the finish line last year.
My hips were in really bad pain, and we finished right here in the stadium on the 50-yard line. So to leave the stadium, you have to walk up the stairs, which was really cruel. And getting into cars was difficult. My body really hurt.
A marathon is one of the most demanding physical tasks one can accomplish, so it's no wonder Davis was so sore. But to put it into context, whenever you run, a runner puts force equal to about 3 times their body weight on their leg and hip. With an average stride of about 30 inches, a runner will take 55,335 steps over the course of a marathon. Assuming the runner weighs 170 pounds, they will put approximately 28,220,544 pounds of force on their body after running a full marathon. That is equivalent to the weight of 353 semi-trucks. That is enough to make some people shrink under the pressure, literally.
And I had actually read online before the run that marathon makes people's spines compress and they lose a few inches. So I measured myself before and after, and I was 1 3/4 of an inch shorter.
Don't worry, Davis eventually gained the height back, and she is excited to run again this year, even if she will drop a few inches again. In Champaign, I'm Cole Hankey, UI7 News.
The Fighting Illini softball team's midweek game at Illinois State University was canceled yesterday. The cancellation was due to poor field conditions and wintry conditions in the area. The Illini's game at Minnesota on Sunday was also canceled due to cold temperatures. Illinois will be back in the full swing of things this coming weekend, however. The Illini will host Maryland in a 3-game Big Ten series tomorrow through Sunday. The series will open against the Maryland Terrapins at 5 p.m. Friday, followed by a 1 p.m. game Saturday and a noon game Sunday. The Illini sit at 22-13 overall and 3-4 in the Big Ten, while Maryland is 15-20 overall and 5-1 in conference. The Illini lost to Minnesota in both games of a doubleheader last Friday, 0-6 in both contests. It would have been a 3-game series had it not been for Sunday's cancellation. Kiana Sherlin leads the Illini, ranking 4th in the Big Ten with a .402 batting average. The junior is also ranked top 15 in many offensive categories in the Big Ten, including leading the league in hits, runs, triples, and total bases. Memorial Stadium will open its doors this Saturday at noon for spring football open practice. This will be the fans' last opportunity to see this year's Fighting Illini before training camp in August. Grange Grove will open for tailgating at 9 a.m. and admission and parking are free. Illinois first baseman Brent Spillane continues to add to his growing list of accomplishments this week. Spillane was named D1Baseball.com's 2018 Midseason Player of the Year today. He was also named one of 10 midseason first-team All-Americans by D1 Baseball. Spillane is the first player in Illini history to receive 2 National Player of the Week awards, and he has also been the Big Ten Player of the Week for 3 straight weeks. Spillane also leads the nation in slugging percentage at 1.149 and OPS at 1.728. Spillane ranks amongst the NCAA leaders in nearly every major offensive category going into this week. With a batting average of .494, he ranks second in both batting average and on-base percentage. He will lead the Illini into their weekend series against Maryland. It is the 3rd Big Ten matchup for the Illini this season. The Illini sit at 17-7 overall and 4-2 in the Big Ten, while Maryland is 14-15 overall and 2-1 in conference. The Illini lost to Iowa in 2 out of 3 games last weekend, and Spillane's streak of hitting a home run in 10 straight games was broken, only because the Hawkeyes decided they'd rather walk him every single time. The Illini men's gymnastics heads to Ann Arbor, Michigan tomorrow for the Big Ten championship. Illinois will take on Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Penn State. A victory will make it the team's 28th Big Ten title in program history. The 27 conference titles currently hold the record as the most in Big Ten history. Meanwhile, the Illini women's gymnastics team will be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama this Saturday for the NCAA Tuscaloosa Regional. Illinois has earned its spot in NCAA Regional for the past 15 seasons. The Illinois men's tennis team will also return home to host number 11 Michigan Wolverines on Saturday and then Michigan State Spartans on Sunday. Both games will begin at noon. Number 7 Illini defeated the Nebraska Cornhuskers 6-1 last weekend, making their overall season record 14-5. Meanwhile, number 11 Illinois women's tennis team are headed to Michigan this coming Sunday to take on the Wolverines, followed by Michigan State on Sunday. Both games are scheduled to begin at 11 a.m. Illinois currently has 6 match-winning streaks after a 4-1 victory over the Maryland Terps last weekend. The women's tennis team is 16-2 overall this season and 4-1 against the Big Ten.
All right, thank you, Bianca. You're quite the sports guru. In other news, next week there will be another conversation on Chief Illini Week. The Chief will be a topic of discussion for speakers Dan Maloney, a U of I alumnus, who performed the Chief's last dance in 2007, and Kevin Gover, a Native American attorney who worked as an assistant secretary for Indian Affairs before taking over as the head of the Smithsonian's National Museum of American Indian. University spokesperson Robin Kaler states, "This is not a debate of do we bring the chief back, this is the chief is gone, how do we move forward together?" The event will take place on April 10th at the Eikenberry Commons between 3 and 5 p.m. This is a free event but requires advance registration. When we checked today, all the seats had already been taken. We'll be back right after this break.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
And this weekend we had some state heroes. Joes Martinez and Devin Johnson pulled a 34-year-old man away from his burning car, and it was all caught on camera right here. According to the Aurora police, the driver was charged with multiple traffic offenses, including a DUI. Even though he had those charges, he is able to say today that he is still alive.
Wow, that's so scary, Ryan.
I know, I'm still trying to get over the footage. It's quite miraculous.
And it was not too far from here in Aurora, so that's very crazy to think that it can happen to any of us.
Exactly.
Goats can be good climbers, but 2 billy goats trying to cross a bridge in western Pennsylvania found themselves in quite a predicament. We are currently looking at photos the Pennsylvania Turnpike shared on Facebook. State police first spotted the goats, and they had to be rescued by a crane. Luckily, they are now safely back in their farm.
Whoa.
I think everyone loves a good goat story, don't you think?
All the way, all the time.
Always.
I don't know what to say.
That is...
You don't like goats, Ryan?
I like goats to a certain extent.
Did you have a traumatic experience?
You never know. Maybe.
Have you ever been to the farm and visited any?
No, but maybe I should. Actually, I
should.
have. I don't eat goat cheese, though.
Goat cheese is my favorite.
I think I was traumatized by goat cheese.
That wraps up tonight's edition of UI7 News. Thanks for joining us.
And we'll be back next Thursday with another edition of UI7 News. Good night.